The search continues for a new athletic director at West Virginia University, and a new name is appearing atop the list as a potential replacement for Shane Lyons. Who is that person? Pull up a chair, sit back, relax, and I'll tell you. What is up, college sports fans, fellow members of Mountaineer Nation? This is Coos, and welcome into another edition of Coos' Corner. On tap in this episode, we're talking about the next potential AD at West Virginia. Yes, I know I've already done one video on this, but the gentleman I'm going to focus on in this episode was not on my original list. Now, first, before I get to that, I am also hearing that Rob Mullins, the current AD at Oregon, who's a West Virginia native and a graduate of West Virginia, is a viable candidate for this job. Rob Mullins is showing more interest in the job this time than he did last time. The last time he would not even have a conversation about it. Basically, he was totally happy at Oregon. Now, apparently, conversations are going much further. Now, does that mean Rob Mullins will get the job? I don't know. But the reasons he might be more interested this time, number one, there's a lot of instability surrounding, or a lot of questions at least, surrounding the future of the Pac-12 conference where Oregon is at. And let's not forget, folks, the president at Oregon who hired Rob Mullins is no longer there. He has since taken the same position, the president role, at Northwestern University. That might mean a lot to Rob Mullins. He's not working for the same guy anymore. So would this be the time for him to now make a change and come back home and work as the AD for his alma mater where he could potentially retire? Think about that. That's exciting to me. My personal choice, he's definitely at the top of my list. All the successes he's had at Oregon, not only fundraising, but hiring coaches, it's almost impeccable. I mean, I don't know that he's really made a bad hire. You might say Willie Taggart was a bad hire, but I don't know that he's really made a bad hire since he's been at Oregon on the football side or the basketball side. So I would love to see Rob Mullins as the AD at West Virginia. Now, but the name I'm referring to, most of you already know who Rob Mullins is and are aware of his track record, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. You can watch the video I did prior that I'll link to at the end where his name was attached. Now, the name I want to focus on today is a name that wasn't on my original video, but has started popping up a lot, and from what I'm hearing, is a very viable candidate for this position. And his name, Patrick Chun. Now, an interesting piece of trivia that really, to me, has nothing to do with his qualifications, but Patrick Chun is the first Asian American to get a athletic director position at a Power 5 school. So I thought you might find that intriguing. He is currently the athletic director at Washington State University in the Pac-12. He's held that role since 2018. Now, before that, he was the athletic director at Florida Atlantic University for a little over 5 years, and before that, he spent 15 years working under Gene Smith in the athletic department at Ohio State. He worked himself up the ranks at Ohio State. In his last role, he was the executive associate athletic director for external relations, which basically means he oversaw all the fundraising activities. And Ohio State set a lot of records in fundraising during Chun's time leading that part of the department. He's also done a really good job fundraising at Washington State, apparently. His first year at Washington State, they set fundraising records for the athletic department, and then they exceeded those numbers in year two. And I haven't seen the latest fundraising numbers for Washington State, but apparently he has done a really good job fundraising since he has been in Pullman. Now, he's also got a lot of experience hiring football coaches. At Washington State, he hired Dan Radakovich to replace Mike Leach when Mike Leach left to take the job at Mississippi State. Now, we all know the controversy that surrounded Dan Radakovich. He was subsequently fired for not getting the jab. Now, yes, Patrick Chun was part of that, and I know a lot of people are not happy with Chun making that decision. That's a controversial topic. I'm not going to give my opinion on it. But from my understanding on reading up on it is that was actually a state of Washington mandate. Any public employee, which Radakovich was as a football coach at a public institution, at a public college, were required to get the jab, and Radakovich refused, so they had to let him go. I don't blame Chun for that. Chun was doing his job and doing what he was required to do under the laws of the state of Washington. At least that's the way I read this, okay? Radakovich has filed a lawsuit against the university, against Chun, and against the state. I don't know where that lawsuit stands today, and I don't know how it would impact Chun being able to do his job as AD at West Virginia potentially. But to replace Radakovich, Chun went on a search and ended up ultimately promoting Jake Dickert to the position, but that was not before he did a coaching search. He felt like Dickert was the right man for the job. Dickert did a really good job leading the team after the Radakovich firing. The players seemed to rally around him and respect him, so he ended up hiring Dickert to take that role. And they've done pretty good. They're 7-4 this year. They finished the season 3-3 under Dickert in 2021. So his overall record is 10-7, which is not bad. Now, before going to Washington State, Chun was at Florida Atlantic University. Now, there he was responsible for hiring Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin did a phenomenal job at Florida Atlantic, and that is really what propelled him to where he's at now, which is the head coach at Ole Miss. Patrick Chun is given credit for hiring Lane Kiffin. Now, there is a story out there written by footballscoop.com that says Patrick Chun didn't actually hire Kiffin, but movers and shakers at Washington State basically hired Kiffin behind Chun's back. Now, I'll put a link to that article. You can read up on it if you want to. That's the only place I've been able to read that story. Everything else I've read on this, and I've read multiple articles on it, is that Chun is given credit for that hire, and he's the one responsible for negotiating the deal. So I don't know if that article's true. If it's not true, who knows? But that is out there. Read that for yourself. You can decide for yourself whether that story's true. But nonetheless, Chun is given credit for hiring Lane Kiffin at Florida Atlantic University. Now, let's get to his days at Ohio State. Now, this is where his relationship with Gordon Gee comes into play, which is why I think Chun has a really good shot at landing this job, especially if Mullins doesn't take it. And that is, Gordon Gee was actually the president at Ohio State while Patrick Chun worked there. Gordon Gee was the president of Ohio State from 2007 to 2013. And another interesting connection here are a couple coaches that have ties to both Gordon Gee and Patrick Chun. And two of them don't have jobs today. One of them is Tom Herman. Tom Herman was the athletic director at Ohio State during part of Gordon Gee's tenure there as president, and was actually the offensive coordinator the year that Ohio State won the national title under Meyer. So there's a connection there between Tom Herman and Gordon Gee, and also Patrick Chun. Those three men have worked together in the past, at least in a small capacity. Now, before you say I'm starting rumors, I'm not. But there's a connection with Urban Meyer. Patrick Chun worked under Gene Smith, who worked under Gordon Gee. Urban Meyer was hired as the coach at Ohio State while Gordon Gee was president of Ohio State, and while Chun was the executive associate athletic director. So there is a connection between Urban Meyer, Gordon Gee, and Patrick Chun. Could we see a reunion of those three men? Now, like I said, I think the likelihood of Urban Meyer coaching at West Virginia is probably 1 in a 10,000. I'm not going to say 1 in a million, probably 1 in 10,000 for multiple reasons. Number one, I don't think West Virginia could afford to pay Urban Meyer what he would demand to be the head coach. And number two, I'm not sure they would be willing to hire him because of the scandals and the stuff that's went on in Urban Meyer's past. I'm not sure West Virginia would want any part of that. His reputation is not great right now, and he may need more time away for that reputation to improve. But let's not lie. The guy has won everywhere he's been. It would be a huge splash hire for West Virginia. It would put him on the map. And listen to this scenario now. I'm just throwing this out there as kind of an off-the-wall, harebrained idea, okay? Gordon Gee is 78 years old. He's going to be retiring at some point soon, and from what I've read, and correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section, but I think his contract with West Virginia expires in the next 1 to 2 years. Gordon Gee made a comment in an interview the other day that he wants to win national championships at West Virginia. He's won 2 national championships as president. He won one at Colorado in 1990, and then Ohio State won one under his watch when he was there. He wants West Virginia to be the third. He made that comment. Now, he laughed about it, but at the same time, I'm sure he's serious. Maybe that's a goal Gordon Gee has. Maybe he's thinking, I've only got a couple years of this job left. I want to go out and hire a coach that can win us a national title now. And we're willing to pay whatever it takes to do it. And if that's the case, then maybe they are willing to bring in somebody like an Urban Meyer. You know, I don't know. Maybe it's a desperation move that they make. Now, look, I'm not saying it's going to happen, so don't go say that Coos' Corner is spreading rumors. I'm not saying that. Somebody like Tom Herman would probably be more likely to come in, somebody that has less controversy surrounding them than what Urban Meyer does, at least recently. And Tom Herman would probably be more affordable because he's probably looking for work right now. Because we all know he's doing work at CBS. If he wants to get back into coaching, why not come to West Virginia? He spent years coaching at Ohio State. He's coached different places in the country. He's coached for Texas in the Big 12. He's coached at Houston, who's coming into the Big 12. So there's some familiarity here that might bode well for Tom Herman. Now, would he be a cultural fit at West Virginia? I don't know. I personally don't think so. Having Tom Herman as our coach doesn't really excite me, but I will tell you this. If I had my choice today between bringing in Tom Herman or keeping Neil Brown, I'm picking Tom Herman because the guy does have experience winning football games at the Power 5 level and recruiting at a high level. So with that being said, let me know, Cougars Corner family, what do you think about Patrick Chun potentially being the next athletic director at West Virginia? And if he is, would you like to see him bring in a Tom Herman? Or heck, even more far out idea, bringing in Urban Meyer as our next head football coach? I want to hear your thoughts. If you want to support my channel, you can do so in a couple different ways financially. You can check out my merch store. Click one of the photos below of one of my merch items. That will take you directly into my store where you can search for the product you want there. Hoodies, beanies, tank tops, T-shirts, long sleeve shirts, coffee mugs, travel mugs, mouse pads, iPhone cases, teddy bears, bandanas, you name it. I've got it over there with some of these great designs to choose from, including my channel logo. You can also hit the join button right below this video and become a member of Cougars Corner. Take advantage of the perks that has to offer. If you want to support me absolutely free and easy, there's 4 ways you can do it. Like the video, share the video with your friends, leave that comment below, and last but not least, hit that subscribe button. Subscribe to Cougars Corner and hit that notification bell so you'll be notified of future videos and future live streams, and help me get to that 5,000 subscriber mark by the end of the calendar year and help me grow the Cougars Corner brand. With that being said, I really appreciate you tuning into this episode, and until the next one, Q Country Roads.